project is at the heart and our really core business line. And then, of course, something that all too often is forgotten about, and that's the question of connections and of mobilizing knowledge for that greater impact, whether it's intellectual impact, which is our primary purpose, is funding the best work that goes on to influence how people think, how people conceptualize issues, and as well as social and economic benefits. On écrit pour être lu, pour les gens qui comprennent le français. We write so that people will read what we write and be stimulated by it. So we see that as an extremely important and core part of the SSHRC mandate. And in terms of those three business lines, for lack of a better word, they're very established patterns of activity that SSHRC is excellent at supporting, and there are a number of emerging areas in which we are now making some adjustments so that we can more effectively engage with some of the changes that are taking place. If you think of, for example, service learning, the Clementi type courses, Humanities 101 type experiments that have been going on around the world, training grants, intersectoral approaches such as what's evidenced here in the KISS project, policy research, etc., and work between the larger fields of knowledge, which we know is so essential, working with scholars that are funded by our sister councils. And finally, in terms of connections, all of the exciting possibilities you saw this morning with the new media work, open access, changes that are happening in publications, and interesting methodologies that are also approaching. But I just want to also, before I make anyone nervous, that we're not talking about hierarchies of wonderfulness, as Chad would say, that the new or the emerging approaches are somehow better than the established approaches. These are complementary approaches that are sort of building and interacting with one another, and we see them as all incredibly important. So just to introduce, one of our major projects at the moment is to really take a comprehensive look at our programming and to find ways to make it more flexible, open, and responsive. We are redesigning our suite, reinvigorating our programs to meet the needs of the evolving world of research, training, knowledge mobilization, and we've got some core principles that are guiding that. A commitment to excellence, as always, simplicity, flexibility, integration, and quality of how we undertake our business processes. We process 13,000 grant applications a year. It's actually like running it's like running a medium-sized enterprise, and looking at how our IT and all of the procedures that underscore that is really incredibly important. More effectively supporting the new generation of scholars, and I'm just so pleased to see the students here who I think are just, and the new scholars who are so much the energy and the lifeblood of a project like this, and end up closing the loop on so many levels. And openness to different kinds of research and related activities, and including more flexible approaches to partnerships and engaged scholarship, like the kind of work you're doing today, which was funded through a pilot initiative. And we're just so pleased to see the early results of that. And then a broader and more inclusive definition of scholarly contribution that values broader intellectual and social influence and benefit. So to sum up, our comparative advantage at SSHRC is in how we design and structure and adjudicate our awards and our competitions. And that is really how we have an impact, being able to undertake national competitions and have an influence on the entire country. To sum up, in fact, before SSHRC was created, and as our President Dr. Gaffield likes to say, Canada was an intellectual colony. When he came and did his graduate work in Canada, all the profs had been trained abroad, all the textbooks had been published abroad. And so it was, just take the US model and divide by 10, and then you have something for Canada. We now have a Made in Canada research community with a voice on any topic. You can be looking at Middle Eastern history in the 16th century, and you can find someone who's a specialist on that. You can think of Filipino literature, and you can find an expert in Canada on that topic, etc. And that ties into how the students are stimulated and trained and mentored through that system as well. So this is our blueprint. Someone was using the term blueprint. We have a blueprint of the program structure that we are moving toward, where we're structuring it explicitly along those 3 strategic objectives or business lines of talent, insight, and connection. But we're structuring the funding opportunities according to how people work, whether they work in individuals or in informal teams, which tends to be the bread and butter of SSHRC's business. That's how most of our applicants work. And then also providing opportunities for more formal partnerships, such as the KISS project. So partnerships across internationally, across sectors, across disciplines, across institutions. And we've had a number of programs in the past that have fostered this kind of work. And so what we're really looking at here is a bundling exercise where we're, to use another business, or it's possibly a grocery term, we've had a lot of SKUs, stock keeping units. We've had, at least 36 separate mailboxes where people can apply. Sometimes and there were a number of reasons why this was done, but we've come to the point where we've said, this has become a little complicated here, let's rethink it and provide some simplicity here, and a simple place for people to apply. Sorry, how did I do that? Previous? How do I get that back up there? Oh, here we go. Voilà. Does that do it? So I'd want to pay, there's a few that I would like, since we have so many community partners in the room, there are a few of the opportunities here that I would really like to flag for people to start thinking about, because we're going to be rolling in these new programs within the next 3 years. And there would be an opportunity for people to start thinking about where you might like to collaborate and consider putting in applications. The partnership development grants and the partnership grants would be an obvious opportunity for groups like this in terms of either building a new partnership, this one obviously is quite established now, but also taking it to the next level in terms of more in-depth support for 4 to 7 years with a strong role, for example, for the institutions that are involved, etc., to do more networking, perhaps build networks across the country or even internationally. For this kind of work. So the green area is an area might be an area of interest. The other is in the yellow, the outreach and tools, where there will be opportunities. I've seen you've done great knowledge synthesis. That is so exciting and so needed. And what we have found is that knowledge users and policymakers, etc., obviously don't have time to read 300-page books and 25-page articles. What they need is a high-quality synthesis of the existing state of knowledge on certain topics. There's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity for new media tools, for example, to be developed, dictionaries, repertoire of various sorts, and workshops and conferences where we're allowing for any kind of workshop or conference that can either be primarily oriented towards the research community or that can also involve other collaborators. So there are some interesting opportunities to think of. I think I'm going to leave it at that, and thank you very much. I know it's been a long day. Merci encore, Yolande, and we look forward to informal discussion at the end of the day.